Hi everybody, welcome back. This video I'm making stove covers. Actually, I'm making two stove covers. They're actually Christmas gifts, so this will probably come out after Christmas. Anyways, when making stove covers, a few simple things to do. One is actually measure your stove. It's no two stoves. Well, I can't say that. A lot of stoves are different depending on the make, depending on the brand. A lot of stoves are different. These are actually both of them, the depth is the same at 22 inches. The 29, the width, one of them is 29 and a half and one of them is 29. So that's what we're going with. And actually, I may have cut too much here now that I think of it. But either way, I'll make something out of it. So you want to measure your stove, and then when you cut your boards, cut them longer. So like these are 29, 29 and a half. I cut these at 33. That way, when we glue them up, we're basically making a panel. When we glue them up, we can straighten up each side. That way you can get off, let's say this board and this board's glued together, you can be off a little bit. Let's see, there we go. Can be off a little bit and not have to worry about it, get them exact as you glue them up. Gives you a little leeway that way. I'm making these out of rough cut poplar. Actually just picked up this morning. It's rough cut, so we gotta go through them joint and plane. So I'll be doing that, and then y'all stick around. It's actually fairly simple on how to make one of these. Now after you got your milling, your planing, all that done, cut the size to whatever width your stove cover needs to be. Then it's very simple. It's time to glue it up. You will, at least with this one, I'm gonna glue it up and then let it set overnight, and then come out tomorrow, take it out of the clamps, put, there's two pieces you put for your handle. That also for stability, but for your handle, screws can only go, won't go all the way through it. Now it can only go into the actual stove cover and those two stabilizing pieces. Then sand and stain. Now we're going to do a little more to it. We're going to do a little decorative. My wife has a Cricut that we're going to put some vinyl on for a little decoration piece. Like I said, these are gifts, so they're not just going to be your plain Jane stove covers. Now I never do. Usually I get her to put something on the stove cover before I sell it. It's never just plain, wood and stain. But that's what we're going to do with this one. Now we're going to, this glue wants to work with me today. We're going to glue these up and then let them set overnight, let that glue dry real good. Now summertime, you ain't got to let it set overnight, but it's December, it's cold outside. I may have heat in here now, but I still want that glue to dry really good before we take it out of the clamps and actually work it. So that's the plan, is to let it set overnight. I have made these where people use the stove cover as a cutting board. Like they didn't have a lot of counter space, and they wanted, to be able to utilize it for counter space. Plus, if they need, cut up some chicken or chop vegetables or whatever they're doing, that they wanted to, a dual purpose. So with that, instead of Titebond 2, I would use it Titebond 3 and act like I was making a cutting board instead of a stove cover. Stove cover design, cutting board practices, I guess you say, milling practices or assembly. So I would still do all this, but use Titebond 3 so they could clean it. And then when it's all said and done, instead of a varnish I put on it, instead of polyurethane or anything like that, I would use cutting board oil. So, and I also wouldn't make it out of poplar. I've done a lot of reading that they don't recommend poplar for cutting boards because the wood is real porous. Bacteria can get down in them pores. But that's another story for another day. We're gonna glue these up. I feel like I'm repeating myself a whole lot. So we're gluing these up, and then there we go again. Clamping them. I want to get as many clamps as I can on here. I got 4, and then I'm putting 3 on over the top as well to help. So your clamps, when you tie them up, they won't try to bend it. You got some on top as well. All right, so now you've seen us get them out of the clamps, and you've seen me get them out of the clamps and square them up with a table saw. Now we gotta look, because you see poplar has this green on it. There's a way to get that green off. It's some kind of acid. I don't remember exactly, and I don't know the process, but I don't remember what kind of acid it is. But there is a way to get that green off. I'm staining it, so I'm really not that concerned about it. But we gotta look at it and tell which side we want to be the top, and I think I'm gonna make that the top. This end's a little bit better. I got pretty poplar on one side and some green on this side, so this is gonna be the top. So the way we're gonna do it, I already milled up some boards. We're gonna glue nail these on right like that, right on the ends, and they're long. I know this, they're long, they're for a reason. So I have made these before. I'm off to one side. I have made these before, and they was just barely long enough, or they was short or something. This way I can take that router. Well, I'm gonna take probably a saw and cut it closer, and then I can take my router and flush trim bit and trim it up. That way it's perfect. We're also gonna put roundovers on them, and that's gonna probably be the hardest part, to be honest with you. And I'll explain why when we get to that point. But right now, we're gonna glue these on, and actually what I'm gonna do, because I've had trouble doing this before, I hold that flush, and I'm just gonna make a line. And then I'm just gonna put my glue here instead of trying to make sure I get it. It keeps from wasting glue instead of putting it where it's not gonna stick. So, though I'm gonna glue the time out of it too, so. Just like that right there. And then what we're gonna do that, and then and again I'm gonna let it set. I got some family obligations this afternoon. We're going to see Santa Claus. So we're gonna let this set again overnight. There we go. Get that old glue off there. I've made these before, and I didn't put a whole lot of glue on there. And what had happened where it wasn't stuck, the board kind of bowed and was only stuck in the middle, and it looked awful by the time it was all said and done. But we're gonna nail it down, nail it right there, and then come down, because like I said, we're gonna put a round over on it. So like right there, every board here, I try to get 4 nails on it. So. Is it overkill? Probably. Am I going to continue to do it? Absolutely. Then we're going to do the same thing over here. And then again, like I said, same thing to that one. And let it set. So what I'm going to do here is I got these guides. I bought them off Amazon or Facebook Marketplace. I think they're 3D printed. But anyways, you can get them made out of plastic like this or aluminum or something. I would get aluminum if I could, and I kind of regret buying these now. But I've already cut all these off flush. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this on here, get it good and tight, and I'm gonna trace this line. There we go. And I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna cut it kind of close to the line, but not on the line. Then I'm gonna take it over to my sander and try to get a good round reference here. If my router bit was longer, it's not long enough to get through both these pieces of material and the bearing be riding on this. So if it was longer, then I would just use it and try to follow along. It'd be nice and pretty. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace all these, I'm gonna cut it with saw, and then I'm gonna stick it in my sander and just try to sand it, get it up to that line. Well, if you notice what I've done, I measured from this end, found my mark, drilled a hole, run the screw in most of the way. I didn't run in all the way. Come back, make sure this one was center, run it in, then run this one in. I lift up and check it. You'll notice if you lift up and check, you'll have movement sometimes in your handle itself. That tells you your screw's not tight. Also, if you got multiple drills, use one drill for drilling, one drill for your screw. You ain't gotta go back and forth, change your settings on your drill and change your bit. So that's, if you haven't done it, that's a good idea to start doing it, I guess you'd say. And there it is, a couple stove covers. These are Christmas gifts. That's actually for my wife's cousin. These are Christmas gifts, so, you know, they make great gifts. You know, you want to surprise your wife or, you know, your mother, somebody. These are perfect. Give you a little extra counter space in the kitchen. I stained them in dark walnut. Then I had my wife put the vinyl on, and then I went through with 2 coats of varnish. I just put one on the bottom, but 2 on top, because the bottom ain't really going to be shown, but the top is. Then I went and I centered up the handles, measured from the ends. First of all, what I done on the measuring, I measured from this end, and then I measured from this end to here, and I got them as center as possible. Then I just took that number for all the rest of them. So, and then I centered them up from the side. So there you go. I mean, they're simple projects. I've seen people make them where they just like stick the boards together and then put the ends on, and I don't really like that, because if over time if the boards kind of shrink or anything, you're gonna see a gap. So I glue my boards together, make a panel. But that's it, man. They're pretty simple. They're time consuming because you wait for glue to dry, then stain to dry, then finish to dry. That's the worst part about it. But if you like this video and you want to see more, hey, give me a like, subscribe, man. Any questions, comments, any things I could have done different, any things that you've done in the past that you want to share, hey, that's great. Let's share it. Y'all have a good one. Merry Christmas and God bless.